Her now fiance, according to her social media account, appeared in a documentary in 2024 following this Russian couple as they scaled skyscrapers around the world.
Fox's Brian Yennis, they were arrested today. America is listening to Fox News.
The Fox News Books podcast returns for a third season with All American Patriotism, hosted by Fox and Friends weekend co-host Rachel Campos Duffy. Celebrate 250 years of America's greatness through the stories of service, family, and pride that encapsulates the American dream. Join Rachel as she highlights traditional American values that have been at the core of this nation for 250 years and will continue for the next 250. Follow and listen now at foxnewspodcast.com.
America, raise a glass to our 250th birthday with the Fox News Wine Shop, featuring limited edition USA 250 wines. Plus, get 20% off your first purchase with code FNRadio20. And remember, wines are delivered straight to your door, so don't wait. Order now at foxnewswineshop.com and use code FNRadio20 to save. 20% discount excludes wine club offers and cannot be combined with any other promotion. Expires July 31st, 2026. Must be 21 or older to order. Please drink responsibly.
This is Downtown Dave. How would you like to be able to promote yourself, your business, or someone else's business for less than the cost of one 60-second commercial on many Tampa Bay radio stations? Here's the deal. You can have your own 1-hour radio program on the Tan Talk Network for less than the cost of one 60-second announcement on many Tampa Bay stations. Your program will be on 2 Tampa Bay radio stations and will cover 4 million people in Florida, plus worldwide on the internet in both audio and video. And you'll have a web link for your business on the Tan Talk 1340 website. We provide the producer, the state-of-the-art equipment, free production of commercials, and much more. Check it out today. Call Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at 727-510-7622. That's 510-7622. Call Lola O'Brien now, 727-510-7622. Call now and your 1-hour radio program can start tomorrow. Call 510-7622 for Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thinking about starting your own business? Then you need to listen to the Entrepreneur Opportunity Hour from 6 to 7 p.m. There's nothing more rewarding than starting your own business. Gene will bring you tips and advice from themselves and other entrepreneurs that will help you get started. Have you already started your own business? Then call in and share your story to help other entrepreneurs. That's the Entrepreneur Opportunity Hour from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
That's the Entrepreneur Opportunity Hour, Wednesdays from 6 to 7 right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you looking for a job? Join me, Gene Hod, on the Employment Opportunity Hour from 7 to 8 p.m., where I will tell you and share with you, as well as answer all of your questions and help you find enjoyable employment instead of a job. This is the only talk show that talks about everyone who makes up our workforce. Join me on the Employment Opportunity Hour from 7 to 8 p.m. on the Employment Opportunity Hour.
That's the Employment Opportunity Hour, Wednesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey everyone, it is Brandy Joy with the Brandy Joy Joyride. Feel free to hop in and have a good time with us every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This show is brought to you by One Unit, dedicated to bringing people together, letting your voices be heard, and of course we're here to entertain you, upbuild you, inspire you, and even hear from you. So every Thursday, tune in to 106.1 FM, Brandy Joy Joyride, and we will hear from you and let's have some fun.
Hi, this is Paul Malloy, host of Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show. I hope you'll join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the Tan Talk Radio Network, where we strive to bring you the libertarian perspective on political events of the day. There's no show quite like Freedom Works, with in-depth interviews, our ultimate top 10 list, and so much more. So join us for Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Good afternoon and welcome. It's the Randal Jenkins Real Estate Hour, and I'm Randal Jenkins. We have a special guest today, Eric Jenkins.
Hello.
Eric was brought here for his dynamic and vibrant participation. He's very good at what he does. He's a superstar realtor at Keller Williams. Do you want to give us some content for your audience, Mr. Jenkins?
Fill in the blank kind of guy. Give me a call anytime, 727-409-3484. I look forward to chatting.
Last week, we had a pretty good show on selling a home or selling a property. We talked about if you're selling a property, and let's say you're interviewing realtors, and for us, we are realtors, so it's just natural for us to have a perspective of looking at the market from a realtor's standpoint. And what I was able to share was that basically you have to ask the realtor, what do you do differently than all other realtors? Why should I hire you over any other realtor? And we went down a whole bunch of things that make us, or Eric, make you different from every other realtor. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember.
Oh, thank God. I hate to think I'm all alone in this show.
I'm with you.
That's great. So some of the things we talked about that make you different than all other realtors include
videos.
You're the video monster.
I have a few.
You're allowed to put 2 videos on MLS, and you do it with Beethoven.
Yes,
Among
I do.
the other things that you can do when hiring a realtor is to make sure that they provide you with a Matterport 3D walkthrough video, to use enhanced homes.com positioning, same thing with realtor.com. We talked about QR codes on signs, one house websites, Zillow keywords, which we expressed were not really Zillow keywords. They're really MLS keywords that you can find on Zillow. We talked about doing business with realtors who have marketing plans, who have lighted signs, who prepare explanation videos for buyers and or for realtors, for info tubes, for neighborhood mailers. We got a little technical talking about maybe hiring a realtor that agrees not to transition from a transaction agent or to a transaction agent. And then we talked about the as-is discussion, and we'll talk about that again today on today's topic, which is how to buy a house.
How to buy a house.
We talked, Eric and I, my brother here, my guest today, about our topic for today. And I got to be frank with you. I spent a little time trying to figure out how to position ourselves best to have this conversation. And I asked Eric many times over the last few days to help me. What is the most important thing to talk about when you're talking to buyers? And since I have it all prepackaged and ready to go, maybe I can put you on the spot and have you join in here and share with me what you think is the most important things when talking to a buyer about buying a house.
Well, it would be a good idea to know the client's price that they're, willing to go up to.
That would be good.
And it would be a good idea to know if they want a block home or a wood frame or manufactured, what their tolerance is.
Great question.
And then it would be, imperative to know if they got to have 3 full baths or 2 or 1.5. It'd be important to know that.
Very good.
And sometimes buyers they don't want a septic. They want public sewer. We don't have to show them any homes that have septic if they're only public sewer people.
You actually have a menu that you go through.
Yeah.
That allows you to remember all of these great points. Yeah. And you provide and perform a interview.
Yes. I interview them. I want to know their minimum bedrooms that they'll look at. They say, well, we'd like 4. I say, well, if I find you a perfect home that's 3, is that okay? And they say yes or no. And then I know what the minimum is.
Yes, that's very good. But a successful home purchase isn't just about finding a house. It's about hundreds of small decisions that you make along the line, from shopping to closing, from financing to inspections to negotiations. And that's why it's really important that you have an advocate, ideally a realtor, in your corner who's going to help you make these decisions, and to realize that you're at a point where you have to make a decision.
I think even having a mortgage broker that's on your side to help you potentially get, some type of funding would be nice if you could get it. A grant.
That's a great point. It's most people aren't buying a house today. They're getting ready to buy a house.
Right.
And if you're looking at a time frame, 90, 120 days, 6 months, I'm going to buy a house. The real question is, what should you be doing now? And my answer is, you should be looking at down payment assistance programs, and you should be looking at working on your credit.
Yeah.
If you can improve your credit score and save $200 a month for 12 months a year for 30 years, it's giant. And as far as down payment assistance goes, people hear down payment assistance and they think that it's like some kind of giveaway. Oh, I don't need that. I have resources. And ultimately, down payment assistance is not like a safety net for buyers who can't afford a house. That's inaccurate to look at it that way. It's not charity. They're more like affordability tools. They can make a meaningful difference in your terms or your interest rate or your out-of-pocket. When I get into these conversations and they say, oh, I don't need down payment assistance, I'm like, okay. I'd like to bring it up just as an opportunity, not that they should necessarily need the funds or want the funds, but it makes it possible to perhaps buy a little more expensive of a house, to buy down the interest rate, to have to bring less money to closings. A lot of people will look at it and say, can I buy a house now without going into my safety net funds? Or can I buy a house now without going into my kids' college education funds? And that's where down payment assistance is really, really an opportunity for you to get a better house, a better interest rate, and to bring less money to closing.
Story. I have a lady a couple years ago that bought a $280,000 home, and she got an $80,000 grant from Pinellas County. She bought the home for $200,000.
I have a story. I have a guy that bought an FHA house, $140,000 house, passed FHA inspections. He got an $80,000 down payment assistance.
That's like my
He
lady.
only had to have $60,000 worth of unpaid principal balance.
Wow.
It's not what you buy the house for. It's really how much did you have to borrow to buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you how down payment assistance works. There's a platform that you can get, and I can send you a link. And what this platform will do is when you look at a house, it will say, this house qualifies for 16, possibly qualifies for 16 down payment assistance programs up to $83,000. And then you'll sign up onto the platform, and it's safe. It's a realtor-sponsored program, and you can put your personal information in there. And if you put in there, you make $200,000 a year, it might say, well, there's only one that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you say there's $150,000 in income, it might say there's only 3 programs that you can qualify for. Oh, wait, you have 5 kids? Oh, there's 7 programs that you can qualify for. And what I found over the years is that people will come to me and they don't want to go through getting qualified. They don't want to, well, if I find a house I like, then I'll work on getting the money. And my response to that is, okay. I mean, in sales, people tell you how they want to be sold. And a smart helper of people, somebody that helps people get what they want, will listen to them. The problem is they're wrong. That's not the right behavior. The right behavior is to listen to the professionals. And if the professionals say, why don't you see if you can qualify for down payment assistance? And down payment assistance comes in several forms. Some of them are grants that you don't pay back, and some of them you do pay back. Some of them have interest that's due, like a second mortgage. Some of them don't have interest that's payable. Some of them are forgiven if you've owned the house for a certain amount of time. And ultimately, my theory on down payment assistance, it's not charity. It's just out there. They did a survey in every single one of the counties in the United States. I think there's 3,200 counties. There's at least one down payment assistance program for every single county.
Wow.
And some of them have dozens of programs that you can get for down payment assistance. And what you do, and what I recommend you do, is to reach out to me, and I will send you a link, and you can establish yourself on the down payment assistance program platform, and you can start seeing what you qualify for. For example, American Indians have one of the greatest loan programs out there. Hometown Heroes for first responders and firemen and policemen has been opened up to everybody if your employer is based in Florida. Pasco County, I think actually Pinellas County also has the SHIP, S-H-I-P program, a down payment assistance program. You have to take a class.
So does the realtor.
So does the realtor, to be able to offer that program. But today's show is really about buying a house. And here we have spent our first 12 minutes and we haven't really talked about it. What we're talking about now is finding the money. And what I recommend is that you reach out to a mortgage broker. And I am a mortgage broker at American Mortgage Services. And I'm not here to hype my opportunity for you to try to get a better deal. I'm a helpful guy and I'd love to be of service. But I'm here to give you education and to help you realize that down payment assistance and grants are not about you not being able to afford something. It's about utilizing a resource that's out there that you may or may not qualify for. And if you don't qualify now, a mortgage broker can counsel you as to what you need to be doing over the next year or 2 or 3 years. And if you survey mortgage brokers, you'll find that they have dozens and sometimes hundreds of people that they're counseling that will be buying a house in the next year, 2 years, or 3 years. But if you don't, never. But if you don't start now, well, you'll start later or you'll never buy a house. Story. I was talking to a lady about this kind of subject, house buying, and she said to me, she goes, if I have to jump through a bunch of hoops to buy a house, I'm not going to buy a house. I said, ma'am, you're not getting a house because this is a hoop jumping contest. All right, so the biggest misconception in buying a home, that's about finding the right property. In reality, it's about making informed decisions at every stage of the process. The right preparation, financing, negotiation strategy, inspections, and guidance can save buyers thousands of dollars, reduce stress, and help them purchase a home that fits their needs. Now, here's the challenge. Every seller wants more than their house is worth, and every buyer wants a good deal. So we have listings. How many listings do you have?
21.
20? I have 20. And how many pendings do you have?
8.
8. I have 3-ish. That means that I'm not sure if the one I had today is actually pending or not. Actually, you know what? I think I can almost say 4 because the seller said to go ahead and send over paperwork on the 4th. I said, I have a radio show. I'll send it over after the radio show. Now let's talk about that. If you're buying a home for yourself and it's going to be your dream home and it fits your needs and you really like it, over the 26 years I've been in real estate, I've learned one thing. It is okay to overpay if it meets all your needs. It's the only one that fits your needs and you really want it. It's not okay to overpay if it's an investment property. But if you love it and you want it and it's it, why do some houses on luxury homes, how did this house sell for $30 million and that one sold for $35 million? It's because the $5 million didn't mean anything to the guy who's got $1 billion. It had what they wanted and they paid it. And that's why prices of art and luxury cars and luxury houses, it doesn't make sense. Why did this house sell for $25 million? It's because the buyer wanted it and the seller could afford it. All right, so I have a whole bunch of content that I wanted to talk about how the buyer's agent is going to help you and protect you, yet a lot of buyers want to feel like they're in control. And it's kind of like going to your doctor. You know, you don't have to listen to your doctor, but it might be recommended that you consider the realtor has seen the patterns. They've been in these situations before. The realtor wants to take you by the arm and shake you and go, you're not paying attention. Yet the buyer's in charge. So the agent has a balancing act. And there's lots of examples, like the buyer doesn't want to do an inspection, but the realtor knows the risk, or the buyer is making it absolute. This is the way they want it. And the realtor wants to say, yeah, but, you know, the yeah, but story. And I guess we've all, as realtors, have had situations where we weren't able to convey to our buyers what they really needed to understand because they were so adamant about doing it their way. It's really a crisis of confidence that the buyer the trust is not there, and the buyer is not willing to listen. And it's a terrible thing. The realtor really needs to have a conversation that goes like this. Eric, I'm never going to tell you what you have to do. This is your purchase. It's your money and it's your decision. My job is to help you understand the options, to point out the risks that you may not see, and make recommendations based on what I've learned from helping many buyers through this process. Sometimes you'll follow my recommendations and sometimes you won't. And that's okay as long as you're making informed decisions. I'm doing my job. So you got to let the buyer know you are in control, and I respect that. And my value isn't making the decisions for you. My value is to help you make better decisions. When buyers feel their independence is respected, they'll often be more willing to rely on the professional guidance. The strongest buyer-agent relationships aren't built on obedience. They're built on informed decision-making, mutual respect, and trust earned through consistent, thoughtful advice. And I guess we can both tell stories where my boy Jeff down the street, he sold that one house. He's got 2 more listed with me. Mm-hmm. This guy will not make a decision. He just says, Randy, you're the man. Tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And that puts a lot of pressure on me because I want to do the right thing. But frankly, you don't know what's the right thing to do until maybe after the situation. And any realtor that's done, how many transactions have you done?
380.
380 transactions.
How many have you done?
750 to 800. Who's counting? But that's not the point.
No.
The education and the wisdom that we've received hasn't come from our successes. You get your wisdom from your challenges and your failures. And I calculated that in real estate over the last 26 years, I've failed over 40,000 times. Now, a lot of it has to do with investing because I run a real estate investment company. We bid on so many opportunities, and then selling properties. If you sell, I've sold properties where I failed 99 times before I actually sold it. And that's because the buyer's needs and the seller's demands didn't meet. And then there's plenty of times where you look back and say, boy, I really should have taken that offer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know until after the fact. All right, so we're talking about buying houses. So there are drop dead dates. And if you haven't got that conversation with your realtor about the drop dead dates, you're going to sign contracts probably by e-signature. And in those contracts, 13-page contract, what are the chances, if you've never bought a house, that you're going to realize, oh, there's 3 really important dates that I better know?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about those dates, Mr. Jenkins?
Well, when you're a buyer, you get a 13-page contract. It's mostly fill in the blank. And you as a buyer with your realtor, if they're diligent, will go through the boxes and you will direct the realtor what the dates are. The beginning date is how much time are you going to give the seller to decide on that offer?
Good. Another drop dead date, and a drop dead date on timing is a little less restrictive because you could lose the offer could expire in that example. But one of the dates that's important is the deposit is due in 3 business days. If you don't make the deposit, then you're in violation of the terms of the contract, and the seller could sell the property to somebody else. The next one that's really key is the inspection period. Do you want to talk about the inspection period?
Well, on page 5, it talks about the length of time. It has a box that you fill in. If you don't put a number in there, it's automatically 15 days. And during those 15 days, it says the buyer at the sole discretion can cancel and request their deposit back if they want to walk away. So the buyer really has a free look for 15 days if the contract says 15 days.
And what happens on the 14th day at 10 o'clock at night?
Well, the realtor, the buying agent, better send the other agent a request for agreed new price, whatever the demands are, or a cancel and release so that we protect the buyer's earnest money.
And or an inspection extension.
Yeah.
So you send all 3 sometimes.
And let them pick. I've done 2 many, many times, but never the third one, which I like.
In extension?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always want as much time as I can. I never put 7 days in inspection.
No.
All right, so if you fail to do the third one, drop dead is the financing. If you don't have your final approval for your financing and you don't correspond, then you can lose your financing contingency.
You become a cash buyer.
You become a cash buyer.
Yeah.
And if you're, ultimately, we're both realtors and we both want the phone to ring off the hook with sellers saying, you're my guy or you're my girl. I want you to be my realtor. And invariably, for me, because Eric's Mr. Personality, he gets a lot of business because he's charming. And I'm more bland and I don't try as excitedly. And, I don't want to say I don't care, but the business I get is from people who call me up and say, I've been watching your content, or I've seen your YouTube videos, or I follow you on Facebook and I want you to sell my house. It's not like I'm out there making, presentations, listing presentations.
I make listing presentations.
How many a week do you make?
Hundreds.
Well, not hundreds, but he does make a lot of listing presentations. And you know what happens? We are likely the better agent, and yet we lose listings. Because of what? Because the other agent was more charming or more personable or prettier, or they were great marketers, or they had nice advertising. Story. I had a brand new agent, and she had never done a transaction. And I gave her my best lead. And she closed a listing. It was a listing and got some really good experience. And then she quit and took my lead and went and did another transaction with them. I said it wrong. She bought them a house, and they were going to sell another house when I was going to be the broker. Long story short, she sold the house in 3 days, her first listing. What's your observation about that?
Price too low.
She priced it too low. But she was running around high-fiving everybody. Sold in 3 days. Anybody can sell a house in 3 days. That's not what we're paid to do. We're paid to get the highest price in the least amount of time. And it wasn't by underpricing it. But I lost that listing. My client, I knew the guy from before, but she developed a rapport. Anyway, I'll get over it. It's only been 5 years.
I made it through.
I'm going to get over it.
I'm almost there.
Yeah. Anyway, so story. In 2024, the realtors were sued for $1 billion, and they settled for $400 million. What they found out was that when you put a big fat commission on a property, realtors would show it. And properties that had big commissions sold quicker because they had more showings. Well, the Department of Justice came in and they said, that is steering, and that is illegal. And they have changed the face of realtoring. In the old days, for the last 100 years or something before 2024, they published the commission. And now commissions are treated differently. We're not allowed to publish any commission that the seller might be willing to provide a buyer's agent. And let's face it, buyer's agents have buyers. 77% or something of all listings are sold by a buyer's agent. 20% are sold by the listing agent. And then 5% or so are sold for sale by owner. So to avoid the conflict of realtors showing houses based on commissions, they changed the way that commissions are handled. And now buyers must work out the commission agreement with the buyer's agent before a buyer's agent is allowed to show a home. And what's happening now is that buyer's agents will call listing agents and they'll say, is your seller paying a commission? How much? And my response is, what's the buyer's agent agreement say? 2.5%? Great, we'll pay it. 3%? Great, we'll pay it. We'll pay it because we listing agents understand that buyer's agents have buyers, and we're charged with selling the house. If I say to a buyer's agent, oh, my seller is not paying a commission, what's going to happen?
They will more than likely move on to another home to show.
And it logistically, it doesn't work exactly like that. Logistically, they call the buyer and say, that house you really liked on Riley Street, they're not paying the commission. Do you still want to see it? And that's code for, you're going to have to pay me the commission because the seller says they're not willing to pay it. So a lot of buyers don't want to sign buyer's agents agreements. They don't want to be on the hook to pay the buyer's agent commission if the selling agent doesn't agree, or the seller doesn't agree to pay the commission. And this has really hurt real estate, I think, in some respects, because I think a lot of agents are not getting buyers to sign the buyer's agent agreements. Have you found that you're selling more houses yourself because of that?
I don't know, but I think it's very unusual that in the old days, prior to August of 2024, if Mr. Cash Buyer calls me and says he's interested in 123 Main Street, I'm in my truck and I'm on my way there, setting the appointment to show it.
On your own listing?
No, prior to August of
on any listing.
On any listing. Today, they have to sign a multiple page, 3-page buyer's agreement that says they're going to pay me 3% commission. And when you have a buyer and they read it and they see that, it's kind of like a oversized shot of tequila. It takes a moment for them to get it down.
Well, yeah, I guess that's one way to put it. And by the way, let's make it very clear. Commissions are negotiable. Okay. If you're a seller and you don't want to pay a commission, you do not have to pay a commission. But if you're a seller and you want to sell your house and you want to get showings, it might be wise to realize that it might be a good idea to offer a commission, but you don't have to. It's a real challenge. It's got antitrust, it's got realtor ethics, it's got rules, it's got realtors are really challenged by this. And many of realtors have not been able to adjust, and we've lost a lot of realtors. But there's so many realtors that did no transactions last year, and they can, let their license expire. And, what is it? The 80-20 rule, 80% of the transactions are done by 20% of the realtors. That was the case before. The buyer's agent agreement is just one more. For me, I love it. I mean, if they don't want to sign a buyer's agent agreement, I don't have to show them the houses.
Right.
So I have no problem with it. But a lot of, if you need a commission today and you're a realtor, working with buyers is a good way to go, because listings can sit. And since every seller wants more than their house is worth, listings can be a challenge. All right, so you're thinking about buying a house. When does it make sense? It makes sense if you're going to stay there for 3 to 5 years, if your income is stable, if you have savings for the down payment, if you want stability instead of flexibility, because if you're renting, you can keep moving. If you buy a home, you're somewhat committed to it. You've got closing fees and expenses, and you may not recoup all of your investment in a home if you only hold it for a year. So sometimes renting is smarter. So let's talk about the costs. Many buyers think they only need a down payment. Down payments can be 0% to 20% or more. FHA, which we should really spend a lot of time talking about FHA, but FHA is 3.5% down, and it's your basic first-time home buyer program. And then you're going to need closing fees, depending on the price of the house, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. So say on a $300,000 house, 3.5% is
$10,000,
$13,000. And figure another $8,000 in closing fees. So you're talking $21,000 to buy a $300,000 house. Now, if you listen to Randy, that's me, Randal, you've talked with the down payment assistance resource people, and you may have lined up for some help, and you may not even be using the down payment assistance resource for down payment assistance. You may be using it for an interest rate buy down. And if you can get your interest rate down and save, instead of having a $3,200 payment, you have a $2,750 payment. Well, in real estate, they say, that's good. All right, money to buy a home. Closing costs, loan origination fees, title insurance, recording fees, escrow fees, government taxes and fees, prepaid property taxes, homeowners insurance, interest collected at closing. I was told not to read this stuff. I
Mm.
was told that it's better when I just talk about it.
Hmm.
Well, I can't talk about it if I have to read it. All right, now, home inspections, septic inspection, sewer scope inspection, well inspection, pool inspection, roof inspection, HVAC, which is air conditioning, structural engineer evaluation, mold inspection, radon, termite. I talked with a guy, it's been a while back, and he spent $500 on a home inspection, $600 on a appraisal. In 2017 and 18, the market made a weird upward turn where cash buyers were buying houses and buyers getting financing were having trouble with appraisals. Homes just weren't appraising. And this gentleman was telling me he had done it 3 times. He paid for a home inspection. He paid for an appraisal. The appraisal didn't come in, and the seller wouldn't negotiate. It happened to him 3 times, and he did not get a house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a terrible story, but it's a reality of real estate. You got it under contract. You did the home inspection. Because the appraisal isn't cheap, it's often ordered last.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do if it doesn't appraise? And that's where having a trusted advisor is really important. There are, what did we say, 4 things you can do if it doesn't appraise?
Mm-hmm.
You can pay the difference out of pocket. You can ask them to meet in the middle. You can walk away because it didn't appraise, or you can convert it to a 403k and hope that the 403k appraisal comes in.
It's excellent.
Insurance inspections. So when you get insurance, I mean, there's several flavors of insurance, but the cheapest insurance involves getting a 4-point inspection. The 4-point inspection is electrical,
Plumbing,
roof, and AC. And if they don't pass, then you have to renegotiate with the seller to either fix them, have the seller fix them, convert to a 403k, or walk away.
Or you can pay a premium with some insurance companies for a month or 2.
Correct. Or you could, well, I was going to say you could get a builder's risk policy, but if you're getting a mortgage, they won't allow that policy.
Mm-mm.
But if you're a cash buyer, then you could get it's builder's risk. It's for non-owner occupant houses that are under repair. The problem is you can't move in for that. Now, the wind mitigation doesn't have to pass the wind mitigation, but if you get it to pass, then you can have a cheaper insurance rate. And that brings me to strips, straps, and
Nails.
nails. Yeah, if you're getting a new roof, ask about straps. Oh my goodness, you can save $2,000 a year on insurance by spending $2,000 or $3,000 more on a roof. I mean, I can't believe that roofers aren't selling the upgraded roofs with straps. All right, we're talking about fees to buy a home, HOA application fees, transfer fees, move-in fees, orientation. We talked about loan-related fees, credit reports, flood certification, tax service fees, verification services. Some of these are collected app application, and some of them are included in your closing costs. Why do these costs matter? You think I'm going to put 3.5% down, I'm going to buy a house, but you're going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 more in due diligence to decide whether you should buy the house in the first place. What I really am focused on is homes that were built in the 70s and 80s, and that's doing a sewer line inspection because so many houses have sewer line challenges. The older homes are made with cast iron, and cast iron in the ground only lasts 40 or 50 years. You got a house that's had no problems, the toilet's flush, and then you realize There was one person living there, and they were snowbirds. They were only there, part of the year. And then your family of 4 moves in, and next thing you know, you've got a sewage line problem for $15,000.
Which would be a deal.
Oh, they're more than that now?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And then I was talking to a builder, a smart guy, who was telling me that now they're using this PVC that's not the 100-year PVC. It's 20-year PVC.
Oh.
So you could have what you think is a new built home. It's only 20 years old, and they use the cheap PVC, and you could have a sewage line problem. I had a great sewage line problem story. The guy moved into the house, and he had a problem. And I felt so bad. I was the buyer agent and the listing agent, and I didn't remember to recommend.
Oh, my.
But that's how you learn. You know how you learn the drop dead dates? By messing up once. You know how you learn about the sewage, the $600 you spend on the sewage scope? They stick a camera up there by messing up. And me and my guys went over there with shovels, and we fixed his sewage line problem for $200. I learned so much.
Did you have a cement slab?
No, the problem was outside, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, money you'll spend after closing. We're not doing a very good job of convincing people to buy a house by telling them all the reasons that you're going to have to put out money. Utility deposits, moving expenses, locks, new locks, garage door remotes. How many times have we sold a house and they had to go buy garage door remotes? Security system setup, window treatments, lawn equipment, furniture, appliances, painting, minor repairs, maintenance, supplies.
Key.
HOA dues, property taxes, homeowners insurance, emergency repairs. One of the biggest misconceptions about buying a home is that the only money you're going to need is the down payment and closing costs. In reality, buyers should budget for both the purchase and the investigation. That's before closing. Some expenses are part of discovering whether a home is the right home. If the investigation reveals major problems and you choose to walk away, those dollars weren't wasted. They were the cost of avoiding a much bigger and more expensive mistake. That's why experienced agents encourage buyers to budget not just for closing, but also the due diligence that helps them buy with confidence.
Just thinking out loud that if you're thinking about buying a home and you're working with a realtor that's been doing this for a year or 2 or 3, there's a lot of learning that they're going to have to go through, and they might just do it on their next buyer client.
Which could be you.
Could be you.
Story. So Eric, my brother, my guest here today, and I were both in the financial services industry. And we both were managers, and we both hired and trained and recruited and did compliance. And we managed offices with how many? 30 people?
More, yeah.
Sometimes more. I worked in the Tampa office. There were 60-something people. Of course, there were many managers. And so I get into real estate, and I become a realtor, and then I become a broker. And then I have this vision. I'm going to hire a whole bunch of agents. I know how to do this. I know how to talk. I know how to teach. I know how to train. I know how to recruit. I can take these realtors and I can build a 20-man or a 50-man and woman office, and I'm going to get rich. And then I saw how litigious this industry is. And I thought about it. Do I really want to be the broker of record? Because that's how it works. An agent comes onto a company and they work for a broker. And when I train agents, which I still I train agents, I tell them, do not sell your 1 year's experience. Sell your broker. And both Eric and I started off, I started with Kay Stevens, but we both worked with Greg Armstrong at Caldwell Banker, and he was the greatest. Just still love Greg Armstrong. And so I never sold myself. I always sold the broker. Greg Armstrong, I had 3 great stories about him. The most telling was when I was a new agent and I was trying to get this guy wanted to buy this 20 acres off Hudson Avenue. And I showed Greg the property and he goes, there's no utilities here. There's no water. That's not even part of the 10-year plan for Pasco County. And I said, Pasco County has a 10-year plan? So anyway, if you're brand new in the industry, do not sell your track record because you don't have one. You have to sell your brokers because your broker is going to be the broker of record. But going back to my story, I have one agent. I've known him for 20-something years. He was an agent long before I hired him. I had one other agent. He was brand new. I did a conference call with him, and he said some things that scared the living bazookas out of me. And thankfully, he quit, and I didn't try to save him. So my 20-man office is me and Neil, and we're happy together. And I'm not in the market to bring in a bunch of rookies. I'm happy to provide training and or coaching and or sales management. If you are a broker out there and you're listening to this call or this radio show, or you're watching this on YouTube, I am available for public speaking. I'm available for training. I'll be happy to come into your office. You might know or not know that I have a book that I've written for realtors. And though I don't want to be your broker, I am willing to discuss being your, not in-house. I almost said outhouse. What's the opposite of in-house trainer? Well, whatever it is, I'm willing to be your outhouse trainer. All right, let's get back on topic. We have 7 minutes. Monthly payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance will generally be required. There are some loans where they're not going to require you to pay the taxes and the insurance in your monthly payment. Those are not escrowed. You must pay them every year. Mostly people, first-time home buyers, FHA buyers, are going to want, and I say want, I mean, if you understand the time value of money, it makes more sense to pay it once a year. But either way, count on it. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Interest rates, big deal here. If you're not willing to get down payment assistance because you're afraid you look like you need money, get the grants so that you can do an interest rate buy down. Get the seller to pay for your closing fees, prepaids, or price reduction. Use that money. You know, if you get a $10,000 price reduction and your agent isn't suggesting you consider a $10,000 interest rate buy down as an alternative, the value of saving $200 a month for 30 years versus saving $10,000 one time, you got to wonder what's
3.5 times, 35 grand.
What's in your best interest? And that's why a good mortgage broker is great to have on your side. All right, loan types, conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, portfolio loans. Generally, and I spent 4 or 5 years at Rocket Mortgage. You know, when anyone says 4 or 5 years, it means it's not 5 years. It was 4 and change.
Mm-hmm.
But what I learned at Rocket Mortgage is that your income and your credit score is going to spit out a solution. It's likely going to be a minimum, an FHA solution. It might include conventional as an option. And these solutions are negotiable. You can negotiate between mortgage brokers. You can negotiate on the fees. You can negotiate on the down payment. You could put more money down to get a better interest rate. There's all kinds of opportunity to get a better deal. Generally speaking, no one wants to talk about it, but if you read my book, Realtoring in the Time of Ghosting, I do a whole chapter on the question that realtors don't ask enough. We ask, you have a pre-approval? Let's go shopping. The next question should be, do you have a loan estimate? And did you realize the loan estimate, you can shop it around to see if you can get a better deal? All right, moving on. Choosing the right home, don't shop emotionally, shop strategically. Location, school districts, your commute, resale, property taxes, HOAs, insurance, flood zones, crime, future development? Does it have internet service? Can you get cell phone service? Noise, neighbors? Wants versus needs. We talk about this. You have must have, nice to have, deal breakers, compromise items, market conditions, search online, touring homes, making an offer, negotiation. This is where an experienced agent can make magic. Give me a minute on you when you guys look at homes, Eric.
Well, I'm a big fan of making, 20 or 30 showings. And then from that, finding 3 or 4 properties that the client likes. And then of that, making 3 or 4 offers. And then seeing who gives you the best counter might be the property that the buyer ends up buying.
But you're also big at looking at the negatives at houses. You point them out.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, wood rot is a big one that a lot of buyers never see. They don't see T-lot where the road comes out the home. They don't see gaps in doors and hallways leaning.
Well, we're winding down, and this information was available and is available through me, Randal Jenkins Real Estate, 727-409-HOME. And if you reach out, I'll be happy to send you this buyer's guide that we summarized. I also invite you to reach out to me if you have any interest in talking about real estate. And I am available for public speaking engagements with your school classrooms, with your organization, if you're an employer and you want to help your employees become homeowners, be happy to be able to help you. My engineer is going to start the music, and I'll know it's time to wind down as we come into the end of this show. I really want to appreciate you taking advantage of watching this YouTube video or listening to us live on the radio. It's just such a pleasure to be able to share with you. Thank you, Eric, for being such a great guest. You were very good this week. Whose turn is it to buy dinner?
Mine.
Okay. Don't stop yet. He hasn't cut me off. I can't leave. I want to be here forever.
Don't turn off the
Don't stop us. There's the music. I knew it was coming. Woo-hoo! Thank you. Have a great day.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
An appropriate way to kick off the holiday. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what President Trump said as he traveled to Medora, South Dakota to open the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library, saying Roosevelt was full of American optimism and enthusiasm. The president also used a speech at the museum to push Republicans to pass the SAVE Act, which he calls for voter ID and mail-in ballots only in certain circumstances.
We have 100% of the Democrats against it and 4 or 5 Republicans, if you can believe that. What are they all about?
Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said there are not enough votes to pass the SAVE Act. And the president spent part of his visit to the Roosevelt Library speaking with an AI version of the former president, asking him about the Panama Canal with AI